Hello guys, welcome to another session. In this session, we are going to learn about the steps required to learn programming in any language. So friends, do you think that this statement is a realistic statement as for you? On a first instance, you will find that no, it is not correct. It look like it is not true. But believe me, this is a true statement. When we go inside the course, or say when we learn the entire aspect of this course, then you will find that this statement is really true. So the question come here is how do we can start or say what is the zeroth step which I need to take to learn the programming. So without wasting your time, let's jump into the discussion and we will understand it step by step manner. So let's look into a diagram. So this is the diagram which I wanted to explain you that. So basically on a day-to-day basis, we are writing program intentionally or unintentionally. You must be wondering what I am saying that, but believe me, yes, we are using or we are writing a program on a daily basis without knowing about this. So let's look into this diagram. This is actually a representation of a human is using calculator. So you must be wondering that why this guy is showing me the calculator or why he is teaching me how to use the calculator. No, the thing is here I wanted to let you know that whenever we type in a calculator like 2 plus 2, that means we are passing an instruction to a machine and the instruction contains two input values along with one addition operation. So here it comes the first definition of our course or say first question of our course, and the question is what is a program. So if you go with this diagram, then the definition is program is nothing but a way or say mechanism by which you can communicate with a machine or communicate with a device. In this example, there is some instruction set which is already being fed within this machine, and we are passing the input value along with the operations, and then it is returning some value and which is being displayed within the screen. But the usage of this device is very limited and it has pre-installed programs or pre-configured program or instruction set which we are using, and we can't further customize and provide any custom actions which we want to apply into this device. We can't do it. But the reason to show this example is that I wanted to let you know that we are communicating with the device with the program which is already being configured and where we are passing the values and that values is getting displayed. So that means we are doing programming, but we are doing with a very limited set of instruction. We are just passing the operations and with the input value, but we can't do any kind of a further configuration of the custom instructions. If you are having any difficulty in learning these instruction set words and all jargon, don't worry, just walk along with me. I will make sure that by the end of the course you will learn everything. So now move further and look into the other part of the diagram. So here there is other part of diagram we can have where we are having a program which is communicating with computers. So what does this program contains? We have to understand it. Now we have understand that what is program is. Program is nothing but a mechanism by which you can communicate with the computers. So now we understand that okay, Mukesh, this is instruction set. This program contains the instruction set where we pass it to the computer and computer do the respective task. But before learning the things which exist within this program, let's understand the whole process. So basically, so when human write a program and prior to running this program basically compile this code and convert it into the computer readable format so that computer can understand that what is given in the instruction set. So here we got a new term called compile. So what does this compile mean? Compile is nothing but a process which will convert your program into a bytecode, or to say which will convert your program into a computer readable format, and then computer will execute that specified commands or specified instructions. There is other equivalent program like compiler that is called interpreter, which Python uses. In the starting of the course, I don't want to go into the detailed discussion about the compiler and interpreter differences, but just consider that there are two kind of a program. any one of can be used by any of the language. If you are using C or C++ language, then it is being the code is being compiled. But if you are using Python, JavaScript, all these can be using interpreter, but their task is the same. Both are compiling the code and converting into the human readable format. So this is what the intent of these two things. Once it is being converted, computer will execute those programs. So now we understand that the process of execution of the program. Now let's understand that what this program document contains, any of the program documents contain. The information which I am sharing with you is applicable to any programming language. So you must understand all these things thoroughly so that it would be easy to start your programming journey. So let me draw some diagram. So let's look into this diagram. If you look into this diagram, then you can find that the things which belongs to this program and the things which we write in this program file is something like this. And it is pretty much common for every programming language. So basically, we are writing a user defined function which we will discuss in the entire part of the course. Basically, we will discuss in the next part what is this functions. Then we will look into the variables, what is variable, then we will look into if block, then we will look into loops. So all these things we can discuss, and I will give you the overview about all these things in the next session of this part 1. And in part 2 we will do the practicals and we can create all those things by our hand. For a time being, just consider that there is something called user defined function, there is something called variable, there is something called if block, conditional block, and there is something called loops which exist within this program. Once you understand that, then you can relate all the programming language together. Now look into this diagram. So what this representation is, basically all these components or all these elements is very common in each of these programming languages. So you can find all these blocks in each of these programming language. The only difference is that how do you write? That means the syntax. So the syntax is little different in each of this, but the intent is same, where you can define your functions and where you can define your variables within function. We can use the if block if there is any conditions, then we can use loops if any iteration is there on a collection of objects if it is existing within the program. So we are going to use loops for that. So here I can say that at 0th step you have to remember this diagram and basically remember these things, these jargons. If you remember these 4 jargons, that means you have 50% done. That means you have completed 50% of your journey. Now next is to learn the syntax and how we are going to use these things. That means any program whenever we write, we get the requirement about that program. So I want to build this thing, client is coming to you, they tell it like that, this is my requirement and I want to build this program. So we will look into some example, we will also look into some of the tools which convert your requirement into a program. So how we are doing it, we will learn that part in the later part of the course, in the part 2 of the course, so that you will get more confidence about how to convert a requirement into a program. So on this note, I want to stop the session over here and I will continue from here only in our next session, and we will discuss that what actually these variables are, if block are, loops are on a higher level. We are not going to cover the Python syntax over here. On a generic perspective, I wanted to give you in the next section. So we will look into that in more detail and what are the things pretty much common in every languages, what are the common blocks, we will look into more detail. So see you in the next session. For a time being, bye bye.